You are a woman between the ages of 35 and 47, and for some reason, your sleep has been all out of whack. 9 times out of 10, I think I know the reason why, because it was my reason. Perimenopause. Today, we're going to talk about what could be affecting your sleep, some actionable solutions to improve it, and other information that I have learned on my journey that will hopefully help you out. Hello, my name is Lynette Renee Doby, and welcome to the Perimenopause Project, where we don't romanticize this challenging time in our life, but I provide actionable and scientifically backed information to help you live a better life. If that seems of interest to you, I need you to do a couple things for me. Could you please go ahead and like this video? I'm brand new on this channel, so I would love to get in front of more people. Then subscribe because I want to provide as much information as I can to help you. And then thirdly, last but certainly not least, if you get something out of this video and you think it can help another Peri Pal or another Peri sister, please send it to her. We don't gatekeep, okay? We're going to share this information so we all can feel and live better through this challenging time of perimenopause. I'll give you a second to go ahead and do that, and then we'll go ahead and get started with today's video. All right, thank you so much for doing that. Before we dive into this video, because I got a lot of information to share, make sure that you understand this. It's important for me to tell you this. This is for educational purposes only. In all things, please make sure that you speak to your physician or a menopause or perimenopausal specialist who's helping guide you on your journey to confirm if any of these steps or solutions that I go over with you in today's video will be actionable and helpful for you. Your health is my number one priority, and I want you to always double check everything that's stated in this video by referencing the resource section below and also by speaking with your physician to see if it will be a good fit for you. Okay, so you may have gotten entry into a club that you didn't even apply for, girl. You didn't even tell anybody, hey, I want to be a part of the club that wakes up at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, depending on where you are in the world or whatever your time zone is. You didn't ask to be awakened in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat. And it's so bad because now you're hot and you're cold at the same time. You didn't ask to wake up with your heart racing and anxiety, and you're like, where am I? What's going on? You didn't ask for the crazy dreams. You didn't ask to be waking up and then not be able to go back to sleep. But guess what? If all of that is happening to you, you are a member of the club. The important thing to note is that you are not alone. Your membership in this club is not one that's a solo one. There are several women. According to the European Journal of Endocrinology, sleep disorders affect 50 to 55% of the perimenopausal population. That's a lot of ladies. It's a lot of ladies. And then another study goes on to say by Dr. Joshua Sparks via the University of South Carolina, published on mdpi.com. Roughly 56% of perimenopausal women sleep less than 7 hours per night. That's wild. That's where I was until I had to do some work. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I want you to find your solution, because I definitely found mine. But that is wild. That is crazy. And that is why information like this is so important, because we've got to help each other out. We women are the only ones who are going to get us out of this. The medical industry and even our ancestors before us, they just kind of left us hanging, honey. We were surprised. We were in this mix, thrust into this club unceremoniously. And so now we help each other live through this, because we can't get out of it. Perimenopause is a necessity for us all, but hopefully we can find some actionable stuff to help us out. So this happens because there are some usual suspects that make this an occurrence for us all. So you've probably heard of some of these suspects: progesterone, estrogen, and cortisol. But let's talk about what each one of them are. Progesterone is known as nature's Valium or Xanax. It helps us ease into sleep. It relaxes us. But as we age, it decreases. Also, the same thing with estrogen. Estrogen, though it's not a sedative, of course, is our female hormone. And as we age, like progesterone, it does decrease. And so that creates a perfect storm of a bunch of foolishness that our bodies go through. Next is cortisol. Now, the imbalance between estrogen and progesterone can cause a spike in cortisol, because at the base of all of this is all about the influx of hormonal shifts, stress, and challenges in metabolism. You can tell your cortisol is spiking when the following occur: that wired but tired feeling, that anxious without, a clear trigger as to why you're having that anxiety, that anxious feeling, the sweating, or the warmth, the hot flashes, any of this that occurs at 2 a.m. and then being not able to go back to sleep. So all of that will let you know that your cortisol is spiking, and it's as a result probably of some influx. But those are the popular suspects. There's one more that people don't really talk about, and it does affect a certain percentage of women, and it could be you. And this is something for you to discuss with your doctor. The hidden culprit is histamine. Dum dum dum. So I know you've heard of histamine. Normally, when I hear histamine, I think of allergies. I'm someone who lives in the southeastern United States, and I take Zyrtec not once but twice a day. And so one day I had happened not to have my Zyrtec in the evening, and I had done everything else within my sleep routine that will enable me to go to sleep, but I had missed that. And that is how I discovered that me not taking my Zyrtec, my antihistamine, caused histamine to come up in my system and wake me up. So we'll go over more details of that later, but let's just talk a little bit about what histamine's role is in the body. Histamine acts as a chemical messenger in the body, and it is specifically in the brain, and it is a key player in immune responses that are affected by the fluctuations of estrogen. So histamine levels increase, causing the release of additional histamine in some women. Estrogen fluctuations in perimenopause can activate mast cells, causing them to release more histamine. This creates a bidirectional cycle. Estrogen increases histamine, and histamine stimulates the ovaries to produce more estrogen. So it's a cycle of terror that can occur. And in some women, it will disrupt their sleep. And so, if you want to learn more about the exact physiological response and process, definitely click the link below. I have everything labeled with the resources, and you can read it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. And then, progesterone has a role as well. Progesterone has a stabilizing effect on histamine, but since it drops, what does that mean? Histamine can increase. This causes intense histamine related symptoms such as migraines, anxiety, and guess what? Insomnia. So I know all of this sounds daunting, and you may be like, well, it seems like everything in my body is going against me. What power do I have? And there's always power, there's always going to be solutions. And so we're going to talk about some possible solutions that will help you, because I know that they've helped me. And it's my prayer that something in this video helps you once you consult with your medical team or consult with your primary care physician. Of course, I pray that something helps you as well. Solution one is something that I recently incorporated because I'm a part of a Reddit group that talks about perimenopause, and someone told another one of the Redditors to do this. And so it made me really want to research why this works, because I started doing it and it does work. Journaling. So after a busy day, our brain is still going. And so we need to offload some of those thoughts. So what better way than to put it on paper in your journal? So I have a remarkable, and I write down all the good things that happened to me on the day, areas of opportunity and things that weren't so good. I just get it all out of here and onto the paper. Next, I write every single thing that I'm grateful for, at least 5 to 6 things I'm grateful for in my life, and also that happened in that day. And then at the bottom of my list, once I've written those other 2 things down, I write that, well, I affirm tomorrow is going to be a good day. Something good is going to happen tomorrow. I believe it was either Venus or Serena Williams who said they started saying that and they saw a change in their life. And since I've started doing it, I can observe the same in my life. So it's really good to cognitively offload a lot of the thoughts from your brain so they won't disrupt you and keep you from going to sleep and staying asleep. And there's also an NIH study that also asserts the claims that I'm making. Now, it doesn't say specifically for perimenopausal women, but it says for individuals who have insomnia or difficulty sleeping, this has helped. So, I mean, we qualify. We're in that group in this time of life. So definitely make sure you check out that study and get to journaling. You'll be surprised what comes out and also how it benefits you. Next is sleep hygiene, but I use this term, advanced sleep hygiene, because when I had COVID, I believe for the first time, it was in 2022. Yes, it was in 2022. And I had insomnia afterwards. Now, I thought it was attributed to COVID, but now that I know what I know, I believe I've been in perimenopause since 35. And so my PCP at the time, he's like, you've got to enhance your sleep hygiene. I was like, sir, What are you talking about? I know about regular hygiene, but sleep hygiene? I mean, what? You want me to clean my sheets better? I didn't know what was going on. So he gave me this paper and it had the standard sleep hygiene hack that a lot of people talk about. No, screens before bed, at least an hour to 2 hours before bed. That is good. And I think you should include it into your sleep hygiene. But there's even more that we do to enhance our sleep. So that's why I call it the advanced sleep hygiene. So, number one, what I've decided is I created a nighttime ritual and I suggest you do the same. See, I had my AM ritual down. I would meditate, do my prayers, have my water, hydrate, get ready for the day. But I didn't do the same for the nighttime ritual. And we used to have that when we were younger, if you think about it. Our mom would say, hey, it's time to go to bed at 8 o'clock. So we would begin to shut down, take the bath at whatever time to get ready for that nighttime or bedtime. So I would encourage you to do the same for yourself. So my nighttime ritual looks a little bit like this. So I take my final supplements, magnesium glycinate, my Zyrtec, and ashwagandha with a sip of water around 9 o'clock p.m. And that signals to my body that, hey, we're going to start tapering off with activity and getting ourselves ready. And if you want me to do another video about my supplement stack, everything that I take, because it is a lot, let me know. I'll be more than happy to do that for you. So, getting back to my nighttime ritual, I gave myself a bedtime. So typically, I want to be, no screens by 10:30 for a sleep time at 11:30. But it depends on if it's a weekend at night or what have you. Sometimes I may want to, watch something or do something, but I don't vary from those times. And I find that if I'm consistent with my sleep, my body kind of falls in line. So I do that. I organize my shower times accordingly. Sometimes I feel like taking a shower relaxes me more. So I make sure that I get that evening shower in and my body is all relaxed. And then I use some lavender essential oil with some of the body oil that I use on my body day to day. And it just is soothing. I really like aromatherapy and it gets me ready for bed. I'm sitting right now in my YouTube studio and I leave this area when I know it's getting time for me to go to bed because my body, the physical moving of my body from one area to another signals, oh, okay, she's serious. And I do not have a television in my room. And I try to leave my additional laptops out here in the studio area because I don't want to be distracted to watch something. And I do have my phone with me. So what I will put on is an audio book and not look at the screen. I get free audiobooks from YouTube, put in my AirPod, and I go ahead and, begin the evening ritual of cleansing. All of these different elements you can put together for your individual nighttime ritual or routine, but I suggest that you have one and you stick to it. Another thing that I ensure is that my room is cool, dress accordingly for bed. I used to wear cute little pajamas. No, I don't need anything that's cute with those forever chemicals and those synthetic fibers that do not breathe well at night. No, I'm sleeping in the bare minimum and I'm using either a high quality cotton sheet or a bamboo sheet. So make sure that you're preparing your bed so it can acclimate your body to any sort of heating that may occur. Even if you do all these things, sometimes you will run hot because of this phase of life that we're in. So make sure you do that. Next, I purify my air. I use an air purifier because unfortunately I live in a condo and I live underneath some people who smoke and their smoke will wake me up out of my sleep and it's jarring for me. So I use not only an air purifier, but I have charcoal filters on the blades of my ceiling fan that's going to maintain that cool temperature. So I'm getting double air purification. I don't play. Next, like the lady in the image that I've chosen, I use a sleep mask. I black out everything. I don't want anything to wake me up in terms of light because it will stimulate you. Your body will think, oh, I see some light. Does that mean it's time for us to get up? No, it doesn't mean that. So I do that. And then lastly, baby, I dull all my senses. I use some earplugs because I don't want anything to, wake me up. I live in a city and I live adjacent or parallel to a pretty busy interstate. And so I want to make sure that none of that affects my sleep. So I know that was a lot, but you can find your routine and everything that will help impact your sleep. We talked about how histamine and estrogen, they kind of have this little cyclical dance that they go through. So if you know that, then there are a couple things that you can avoid. I call them histamine triggers that will help ensure the histamine isn't the thing that's waking you up. So if you're like me and you're already taking an antihistamine or you're wanting to discuss the possibility of needing to take one with your doctor, just make sure that you take your Zyrtec the prescribed amount of times. I got really sick recently when the seasons change. It happens all the time. And so this doctor that I saw, he told me, you know what, you need to be taking it twice a day. He was like, based on your symptoms and the way that you sound, because typically I always would sound nasally. I just never knew why, but it's because histamine was wreaking havoc on my system. So he advised me to take it AM and PM because that's how I discovered I had this issue to begin with, because I missed one dose before night in my nightly routine. And I was like, whoa. And that leads me to another thing before I move on. Write down what happened on a certain date, because when you do go before your doctor, it's so helpful for you to say, you know, on April 17th, this occurred. And I'm wondering if it's related to, you know, me having a sensitivity to histamine or whatever the case is for you in that moment and in that situation. So let's get back to this histamine explanation, because I think it's important for you to know your histamine triggers. So some of them are really surprising. They were surprising for me, so I'm going to share it with you. So did you know, if you're doing meal prep, particularly if you're using a protein, once you prep that meal, it automatically begins to start getting bacteria on it. And one of the amino acids, histidine, turns into histamine when you put that item into the refrigerator. So over days, you're thinking you're eating healthy and you're doing right by yourself, but you are putting more histamine in your body because it stays in the refrigerator. Now, to stop this, when you do meal prep, because I am a huge proponent of that, make sure that you put it in the freezer, so that stops the histidine, you know, into histamine process because it's frozen. Once again, there will be a source below so you can read more about that, because that's what caused my spike that night, because I was able to deduce because I'd eaten something that had been one of my meal prep items. And I didn't think none the wiser. It doesn't taste differently, but it did affect my body differently. I knew that because I didn't take that Zyrtec that night. Also, some medications can directly or indirectly promote the release of histamine. Ibuprofen is one of those things. So think about the irony. You might have taken an ibuprofen because you weren't feeling too well, but that could be the thing that caused a histamine spike in your system if you do have some sensitivity to histamine. So make sure that you're aware of the other things that you're taking and how they could interact with histamine in your body. Next, y'all gonna hate me for this one, but I hate to say it, but some alcohol, specifically wine, beer, and champagne, contain histamine, and they may prevent the body from clearing histamine. So you really want to make sure that you're putting things in your body that will not trigger or aid in the dysfunction of all these different things that we have going on through perimenopause. Please don't hate me. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot the messenger. Again, the resources below. Next is high intensity interval training done later on in the day. So I noticed that sometimes if I work out past either AM or morning, like I typically want to do, if I get in an evening workout, it does not bode well for my sleep. And I know, you know, you've heard exercise physiologists and other individuals say that, but you're like, why? What does it do for us? You know, how does this affect us as women? It could increase histamine in the body. It could spike it. So you just want to make sure that you do those workouts a little bit earlier. If you have any gastrointestinal issues or SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, that has been shown to be a significant contributor to histamine intolerance. So that overgrowth of bacteria can increase histamine production. So if you have that, then definitely consult with your physician and say, hey, is this a possibility? Could this be interacting with my estrogen and keeping me up at night since I am perimenopausal? It really could all tie in together. So hopefully that helps. Let's keep on going. Oh, solution 4 is big for me. Managing blood sugar stability. I, full disclosure, was diagnosed with pre-diabetes, man, in my early 30s. And I kind of maintained it on my own for years. And then as soon as 40 came knocking at my door, so did a whole lot of other things. If y'all want me to do a video on that, living with perimenopause and being someone who's prone to higher blood glucose levels and in prior the pre-diabetes range, please let me know and I'll do a video for that, honey. That will have to be a 3-part series. I'm just going to tell you now. But as it relates to this conversation, if you have skipped a meal or you might not have had the right nutritional balance of a meal, a lot of different things can cause your glucose to spike in the middle of the night. And that causes cortisol to spike because it thinks the body needs it. So it will wake you up. So to prevent this, have a little bit of protein before you go to bed. Now, ask your physician what time you should have yours. Sometimes I have mine too soon, but it should be maybe about, I think about an hour before bed. Sometimes I'll do 30 minutes and I kind of pay for it. But one thing that doesn't happen is that cortisol doesn't spike and I don't wake up drenched in sweat. Everything is kind of aligned with that regard because I had the necessary protein that I needed. So I used to do a couple of nuts. I can OD on nuts. So I've been taking to having a boiled egg before bed with a little salt and a little pepper, and it really does help. The last few nights, I have not had a sweaty night, and that for me is a win. So there is some truth to this. Once again, double check the resource down below. Last but certainly not least, we got this. I know for a fact that this time in our life is difficult. It is hard. It is challenging, but it's not impossible if we do a couple of things. If we arm ourselves with the education to be able to go into our doctor's office and advocate for ourselves, which is why the Perimenopause Project exists, that will help. Secondly, if we go through this together, like I said, I'm a member of a Reddit group and we help each other out. I'm not in there as frequently as I like, but it inspired me, along with all the things that I'm learning in my independent research, to want to help other women. And so I will be creating a community around this because if we don't help each other out, we are lost. We cannot rely on the medical industry to teach us every single thing and to arm us with all the tools that we need to go into the office to be prepared to talk about this. We have to help each other out. And the worst thing your doctor can say is, no, that doesn't really sound right, or where did you get that from? And you can show them the resources that I'm giving you. So we've got to advocate for ourselves in this time of life and understand that we have got this. I hope this helped you out because I enjoyed doing this video and it took me about 10 hours to get everything that I needed to prove everything that I'm saying in this video. And I did it gladly because if this helps just one woman, that means that I did what I was supposed to do. Once again, my name is Lynette and I'm your Peri Pal, and I'm on this journey with you. And I'm not going to make it fluffy and romanticize it. It sucks, but it's better if we do it together and not do it on our own. I look forward to seeing you in the next upload. And until that day comes, be healthy and stay healthy and help each other out. I'll talk to you soon.